You've always been told to be nice, be polite, be the gentleman who opens doors, who listens, who says all the right things. And for the most part, that's not just good advice, it's essential. But here's the trap: sometimes, beneath that carefully polished exterior of the so-called nice guy, something darker festers. You've seen him. He's the one who always nods empathetically, who offers help before it's needed, who never raises his voice. But there's a tightness around his eyes, a rehearsed rhythm in his compliments, a smile that doesn't quite reach the soul. You feel it, that unease, like a handshake that lasts a second too long. Because deep down, he's not being kind out of respect. He's being kind as currency. The nice guy isn't always nice. He's often performing niceness like a magician hides a card. You've probably seen it unfold, maybe even experienced it. The man who volunteers to walk a coworker to her car, but gets irritated when she doesn't flirt back. The one who calls himself a feminist online, but flips the script the moment he's rejected. These men weaponize politeness, wield charm like a scalpel, slicing through boundaries while pretending to protect them. He's not interested in genuine connection. He's hunting for validation, access, and ultimately, control. When he doesn't get what he wants, the mask slips. And when it does, it's not always explosive. Sometimes it's subtle, passive aggression, guilt-tripping, or emotional manipulation cloaked in concern. What makes this so dangerous is that society often praises these men. "Oh, he's so sweet," someone might say, completely unaware of the internal scorecard he's keeping. You've probably heard him say, "Nice guys finish last," as if kindness is a transaction that should guarantee affection. But here's the truth: kindness that comes with expectations isn't kindness at all. It's a contract written in invisible ink, one that demands payment without ever stating the terms. This is where you must keep your eyes open. Not every wolf wears a snarl. Some wear cologne and compliment your earrings while mentally undressing you. It's not about paranoia. It's about perception. Because the most dangerous predators aren't the ones growling. They're the ones smiling. You've seen how they operate, lurking in plain sight, often in spaces where trust is easily given. Community centers, college campuses, social justice forums, even therapy groups. These aren't just random haunts, they're calculated habitats. Because the hidden pervert wearing the nice guy mask knows exactly where to be seen and how to be seen. He learns the language of empathy not to heal, but to infiltrate. He mirrors your values, echoes your beliefs, and tailors his persona with terrifying precision. It's not spontaneous, it's strategic. He doesn't just show up. He studies, adapts, and prays. And here's what stings. People defend him. He would never do that. They say, because he's always been so respectful. But you've learned, respect isn't about the words someone uses in public. It's about the boundaries they honor in private. You've seen these men slowly chip away at defenses, not with brute force, but with persistence masquerading as patience. They wait, they wear you down, and they frame your hesitation as a challenge. And when you finally say, no, they act like you've betrayed them. Like you broke an unspoken deal. That's the trap. They act like entitlement is affection. You remember that time your friend said she felt guilty for rejecting someone who was so nice. That wasn't her guilt. It was his manipulation. A kindness that demands a return is just coercion in costume. It's emotional extortion disguised as decency. And when confronted, these men rarely show remorse. They show confusion. I was just being nice. But that's the kicker. They weren't. They were performing a role, like an actor playing the hero who believes he deserves the girl by the final scene. And when the narrative doesn't go their way, they don't just exit the stage. They flip the script. You start to see the pattern. The obsessive texting masked as concern. The passive-aggressive silence after rejection. The way he suddenly becomes the victim. Because if he's the victim, then you must be the villain, right? That's the dark genius of it all. He builds a trap and convinces you it's your fault for stepping into it. But you're not here to stay caught. You're here to see it, name it, and break it wide open. You start to realize that this isn't just about one guy. It's a cultural blueprint. A system that teaches boys to suppress vulnerability but rewards performance. Be nice, they're told, but what they hear is, be agreeable until you get what you want. And when that strategy fails, they don't reflect, they retaliate. Not always with fists or fury, but with silence, coldness, or subtle sabotage. They ghost, they smear, they twist the narrative. You've watched this play out in slow motion. How someone is adored until the moment they set a boundary. Then, suddenly, she's crazy, ungrateful, leading him on. It's psychological warfare wrapped in politeness. The worst part, some of them don't even know they're doing it. That's the depth of the delusion. They've internalized this idea that being nice is a character trait, not a behavior. They believe they're owed love because they didn't yell, because they held the door, because they didn't assault anyone. But the absence of cruelty isn't kindness, it's the bare minimum. You don't get medals for not being a monster. And yet, these men hand themselves trophies for basic decency, and then get bitter when the world doesn't throw a parade. You've seen the cycle. They start as the safe choice, then slowly reveal a possessiveness that's been brewing underneath. And when called out, they weaponize their image. No one else sees this side of me, the victim says. And that's by design. Because he's curated his persona like a brand, selective, strategic, and shielded. He knows how to cry on cue. He knows how to turn a room in his favor. And if you speak up, you risk becoming the villain in his carefully crafted play. But you're not here to stay silent. You're here to interrupt the applause. You're here to see through the fog, to call out the choreography behind the charm. This isn't about hating men. It's about demanding better from them, and from yourself, because being truly kind means respecting autonomy, not expecting access. And if someone's kindness has a price tag, it's not kindness, it's a transaction. And you never agreed to the terms. So how do you spot it before it spreads? How do you protect yourself and others from the nice guy, who's really just a predator in a polite disguise? It starts with listening to your gut, that whisper that says, something's off. Even when everything looks normal on the surface. You've felt it before. The oversharing disguised as openness. The way he, accidentally, brushes too close. The excessive compliments that feel more like claims than praise. These aren't quirks. They're signals. And the more you trust your instincts, the clearer the pattern becomes. You begin to notice how these men test boundaries, not blatantly, but with micro violations. A joke that makes you uncomfortable. A comment that lingers. A favor that comes with strings attached. And when you pull back, they don't apologize, they rationalize. I was just being friendly. But friendliness without respect is a mask. And you're not here to be fooled by masks. You're here to unmask them. You're here to create a space where kindness isn't performative, where connection isn't conditional, and where boundaries are not just acknowledged, but honored. You also start looking out for others. Because now you see how easily charm can be mistaken for character. You speak up when someone's behavior feels off. You check in with friends after parties, after dates, after meetings. Not with paranoia, but with purpose. Because silence is the soil where manipulation grows. And you're not watering it with your inaction. You're pulling it up by the roots. And here's the most important part. You start doing your own work. Because we've all internalized some of these behaviors. Maybe you've caught yourself expecting praise for decency. Maybe you've been disappointed when kindness didn't lead to connection. That's okay. Awareness is the beginning of accountability. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to change. And real change doesn't come from guilt. It comes from courage. The courage to look in the mirror and ask, who am I when no one's watching? Because that's where character lives, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. And you're not afraid to shine a light. Now you're not just seeing the patterns, you're breaking them. You stop rewarding empty gestures with trust. You no longer confuse politeness with safety. You understand that someone can hold the door open and still hold toxic beliefs. You've learned that real integrity isn't loud, it's consistent. You don't need someone who says all the right things. You need someone who does the right things when no one's watching, when there's nothing to gain. Because now, you know, real kindness doesn't come with a receipt. You've begun to separate performance from authenticity. You've seen how the nice guy clings to a script, and when the script fails, he falls apart. But you've stopped playing along. You've stopped rewarding the crocodile dung sunscreen types. You remember that? The ones who offer protection they don't believe in themselves. You know that some people will use the right words to hide the wrong intentions. They'll call themselves allies, advocates, gentlemen. But when expectations aren't met, their true selves step forward. And they're not nice. They're bitter, entitled, sometimes even dangerous. And yet, you don't let this harden you. That's the key. You don't stop believing in kindness. You stop confusing it with compliance. You don't stop trusting people. You just learn to ask better questions. You learn to watch what people do when their charm doesn't work. Because that's when the real character shows up. Not in how someone treats you when they want something, but in how they respond when you say no. That one word is the ultimate revealer. It peels back the performance and exposes the truth. You've become someone who doesn't just speak up. You stand up for your friends, for your community, and for yourself. You refuse to be guilted, cornered, or manipulated by emotional IOUs. You're not interested in appeasing fragile egos. You're interested in building a world where kindness is free of agenda, where men can be vulnerable without being predatory, and where women don't have to decode every compliment for hidden intent. This is your power now. Not just the ability to recognize the mask, but the strength to call it out, to disrupt the game, to say, I see you, and mean it. Because you do. You see through the veneer. You see the strings behind the puppet show, and you're done clapping for actors playing decent. You're demanding the real thing, and in doing so, you're not just exposing the hidden perverts. You're becoming the kind of person who makes it impossible for them to hide. You think you've seen it all. Think again. The world is full of secrets, hidden truths, and mind-bending realities waiting to be uncovered. What if everything you believe is just the beginning? Hit subscribe, and let's keep unraveling the mysteries that could change everything.